Okay, so as you guys are beginning to prepare your end projects or your sports arguments, it's going to be important that you understand the three different ways that you can appeal to your audience so that you can influence them. That's what you're going to be assessed on this project. So I wanted to go over those three different ways. It's ethos, pathos, and logos. And basically that's appealing to your audience's sense of ethics, the emotions of your audience, or the logic of your audience. So kind of the intelligence and thinking about it. So I want to go over each of those three ways, show you some examples today. Even though we won't really be creating necessarily commercials where you're trying to sell a product. If you are creating a video, it's probably going to be more of a PSA where you're trying to raise awareness because your topic is an issue that you want to raise awareness for. But even if you're creating a poster or a political cartoon, you are still going to use one of these three ways to appeal to your audience because your goal is still to influence them and get them to um, agree with you and see your point on the issue that you're trying to raise awareness for. So let's get started by talking about ethos. Ethos is when you appeal to the ethics or the credibility of the speaker. You're using that credibility of your speaker to appeal to your audience and basically get them to um, believe in the topic or the issue that you're presenting because of the credibility or the ethics of the speaker. We have two commercials here that we can take a look at that do this. The first one is an older commercial. It's from 2010. Some of the celebrities are still playing. Some of them were retired, so you may or may not be familiar with these celebrities. But this commercial uses Justin Tuck, Amari Stoudemire, Rajon Rondo, Deshaun Jackson, and Sonia Richards as their credible speakers to appeal to the audience for. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, now this next commercial is also using ethos to appeal to the audience. However, this one's not really about the credibility of the speaker, but it's more about the ethics and getting the audience to believe in the product because of something that might be important to the audience. In this case, that has to do with actual like healthy ingredients. Let's take a look at this one. So you can see that one's using ethos a little bit differently. Our first commercial was using celebrity athletes because they're selling a product that is typically going to be used by athletes. It's an athletic shoe, so they know that if you're watching this commercial and seeing famous athletes wearing the shoe and selling the shoe or talking about the shoe, then you're probably going to be more likely to believe in the product as well. Second one, however, is not, as I said, not using the credibility of the speaker, but it's more ideas that the audience believes in. And in this case, they know that many people right now are concerned about some of the artificial ingredients that are in the food that they're eating. So they use that belief to try to sell their product. Let's move on to the next type of, or the next way of appealing to your audience, however. One is called pathos, and this is where you appeal to your audience with on an emotional level. If you were in class the other day, I showed some of you a PSA that did the same thing with the texting and driving PSA. That was an emotional appeal. I have two more examples here. These are both commercials, but they appeal to the audience on an emotional level. And the next one. Okay, so when using pathos and appealing to the emotion of your audience, you will notice by looking at these two examples that it's important that you are not just using what's occurring directly on screen in terms of your actors, but you're really looking at how you use lighting and background within the video and sounds and music. All of those really help create that emotional appeal. You can see that in both of these two commercials. They're using all of those different components to create that emotional appeal. So when you are creating your video, if that's the route that you choose to go, really try to make sure that you pay attention to all the components if you're going to use pathos to appeal to your audience. And our final method for appealing to the audience is called logos. This is where we appeal to the audience using logic or reasoning. This type of appeal might be more similar to what you used when you wrote your arguments. You will see from these two commercials here that you're going to use some facts and some evidence and statistics, maybe even, in an attempt to appeal to your audience. Let's take a look at these two commercials. And the next commercial. And finally, it's also important to notice that you will probably want to combine a couple of elements when you're trying to influence your audience. Both of these commercials show that combination. The first one really utilizes both ethos as well as logos. They brought in the NASCAR driver as a means of showing the audience or some credibility with that speaker as they're trying to sell you their product. Second one, they're utilizing both pathos as well as logos since they want the audience to consider adopting pets. They know that emotional appeal, in addition to those facts and that reasoning, the emotional appeal is probably really going to help drive all of that home and influence the audience. On this last slide, I've included two final examples. The first one is a PSA that was created by Mrs. Johnson's son. So if you really want to see an example of a PSA that was done by a student, this would be a great video for you to take a look at. I'm attaching a copy of this slideshow into Google Classroom, so you can open the slideshow and you can go back and review any of the commercials that we've already viewed if you want to view them again. But more importantly, you can take a look at these two examples as well before you move on to planning your own projects. We've already looked at the Dwayne Wade commercial if you were in class that day. However, if you're not in class or if you would like to view that commercial again, then feel free to view that one as well. After you've taken a look at any of the videos or rewatched the videos that you may need, as I said, I would like for you to go ahead and begin planning the product that you are going to create. If you're working with your group or working with a partner, then go ahead and get together with that person and start planning out what you want to do. But really make sure that you are also planning for how you're going to use these three elements in your product. At least one, or probably even better if you are combining a couple of the elements.